Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. We're going to recap what happened last night in the RNC. Yesterday was the kickoff for the Republican National Convention, and we're going to compare and contrast that with the DNC and tell you all about it. The title I got for you, and I'll give you the article in a minute, and this pretty much sums it up. RNC Day One, proud to be an American, because I'm not going to do it, but I want to burst out in the Lee Greenwood song, I'm proud to be an American, because that's how I felt about it. And we're going to play you a video in just a moment that basically shows it should be the lead theme for Donald Trump going into November, and it was the kickoff to the RNC coverage last night. But before we go any further, I want to remind you of the giveaway we're doing here at John Martin Talks. We're giving you something, no obligation. This everyday concealed carry prize pack includes all the items you see in front of you. There's a picture of it. It's very simple. One lucky listener will win this prize pack at the end of the month, for sure, without a doubt. No obligation. Go to the description of our show, which is in no matter what venue you're watching our show, from YouTube, spell it out, John Martin Talks, to Facebook, to even America's Voice News across their streaming network. And they, by the way, are giving great coverage of the RNC. If you want someplace for wall-to-wall coverage, go to them, America's Voice News. Download the free app, the Android, iPhone free app. You can check us out on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Dish Network, Channel 219, and Pluto Network. But look at the show description. Regardless of where you're watching, you will see a John Martin giveaway link. Click on that link, follow the directions, and you can be one of the lucky listeners that will win this prize pack. Compliments of our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited, which we're live today from Big Daddy Unlimited Studios. While you're looking in the same description of our show, if you want to help our show and help yourself with anything to do with Second Amendment, from gear like this to guns and ammunition, check out our sponsorship link, Big Daddy Unlimited, BDU. You'll help us and you'll help yourself. For 99-cent free trial, virtually, I keep saying free, but 99 cents is virtually free trial. You can check it out. Please do so. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get into what happened last night at the RNC. And we're going to use a Washington Post article as kind of our template. Takeaways from the first night of the Republican National Convention. The Republican National Convention began Monday with a slate full of future leaders of the GOP speaking in favor of President Trump. And that is absolutely true. Some great current and potentially future leaders. Jake Tapper, I kept flipping back and forth. I purposely watched like CNN's coverage because I just kind of wanted to hear their take on it. And it was pretty interesting, actually. But Jake Tapper, or Tapper, I guess is how you say his name, he actually made a point last night that I agree with 100%. He made the point that Donald Trump Jr., Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott, that those three people who were basically the keynote speakers, and there were some great speeches in between theirs, that those three actually are potential candidates for 2024. And I agree with him 100%. Don Jr. is pretty obvious, going on the Trump name and all. I'm not saying that's all he would be. He's a man of substance in his own right. Of course, Nikki Haley has really made no disclaimer that she's not thinking about it for sure in 2024. I would be surprised if she is not a candidate. Of course, a lot can happen between now and then. And I hadn't really thought about Tim Scott so much, as a presidential candidate. But I think Tapper is right that Scott, and especially coming off the actual speech, and we'll talk about his speech in just a few minutes, he is certainly someone who could be catapulted all the way to the top of the ticket. I can definitely see that. So I'm in complete agreement for once with Jake Tapper on that particular issue. The Washington Post, back to this article here, they say a promise of optimism, talking about what the RNC was promising, promise of optimism quickly abandoned. So they're making the case that the Republicans said, the big difference between their convention and the DNC convention last week was going to be theirs was all gloom and doom, and ours, the Republican convention, is going to be a happy place, a proud place. And this article is making it sound like they started out that way and they abandoned it. I actually don't agree, and we'll get on with that in just a moment. The GOP, back to the article, claimed that this convention would be significantly more optimistic than Democrats last week. Most of what we got Monday, according to the Post here, Monday was decidedly not that. I disagree pretty much categorically on that statement right there, because the only darkness, if you want to call it darkness, in the speeches, and there was, in a sense, and hear me out on this, some darkness in the speeches last night, but the only darkness at all was about Progresso World, what I have labeled Progresso World, which is coming at us and will absolutely be here if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris occupy the White House. Progresso World will be upon us, and I can guarantee you, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, the reality is you're not going to like it much. And we're getting a taste of it every day with what's happening in our cities and all across America. So I disagree about the darkness, unless you want to say that warning about the coming of Progresso World is darkness. It is darkness, but it's truthful nonetheless. And one thing became clear as I was watching the pundits I flipped back and forth between Fox, MSNBC, and CNN. And when watching CNN and MSNBC, they absolutely don't like anything that makes you feel good about America. If you say something that makes you proud to be an American, then something is wrong with you. And I would flip that the other way. If you can't find some reason, I'm not saying that America is the beginning and end all. It's the greatest experiment. That's why I call it that at the top of our show. It's the greatest experiment that mankind has ever done. And it is not guaranteed. When you look at the history of our country, we're only a flicker, a bright flicker, but in a sea of darkness for the most part when it comes to freedom in this great world in the history of mankind. America is without a doubt the greatest light that has ever shone in that sense. But it's interesting to me that if you want to find, and here's the thing, I believe if you're honest with yourself, I don't care where you are in life, I don't care what your skin color is, what your background is, if you're an immigrant or not, it doesn't matter to me. I think if you're honest, you can find something to be proud about as being an American. It has never been all gloom and doom. Perfect? No. And they talked about that, a lot of speakers. Tim Scott actually said that quite a bit last night, that we have not reached our full potential and promise, basically, he said, but we're striving to get there. We're always striving to get there. And that is the reality of the human condition. We're not going to reach perfection. Because my daddy used to say all the time, there's only one perfect man in this world, and we crucified him. So what do you think, the world is ready for perfection? No, but we're the closest thing to it. And the fact that we continue to strive towards that maybe unreachable goal is what makes us uniquely American. And I think Mr. Scott is right on time with that. But if you want Progresso World, then vote for Joe Biden. If you believe that America's best days are behind us, vote for Joe Biden. If you believe in the promise and the future of America, there is only one choice: Donald J. Trump, period. And that's what I got out of everything last night. But also, as I want to say it again, the commentators on like CNN and MSNBC, they have nothing positive to say about America other than the chance to get rid of the best chance we have at the promise of America, Donald Trump. That's all they got. Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel said this week before the convention, she described it this way, what we were going to see this week. And I think we saw it last night. This is what Miss McDaniel, Miss Ronna, let me get her name right there. You know, sometimes I'm bad on Ronna McDaniel. I thought about that. The big contrast, she said, you'll see between the Democrats' doom and gloom, Donald Trump obsessed convention. Basically, that is the description of the Democratic National Convention. It was all gloom and doom. Because they really, if you think about it, they never gave you, the Democrats, never gave you a real reason to vote for Joe Biden other than Donald Trump derangement syndrome, really. And I've been challenging for weeks on this, and I have yet to have anybody take me up on it. There are trolls out there that hit me up on Facebook. Good morning, America's Voice News. Citizens for Trump, John Martin Talks, among others. Howdy, how are you? Glad to have you here. But I have yet to have anybody take me up on this challenge. We got trolls, which is a sign of, that we're doing something right. But they come on about Joe Biden. There was a lot of them yesterday. Oh, Joe Biden is the answer. But they can never accept my challenge. Tell me, without mentioning Donald Trump or anything to do with the Trump administration, why you are for or passionately for Joe Biden. Because there is passion for Donald Trump. There is passion against Donald Trump. But I have yet to see anyone make a passionate argument for Joe Biden. And I would throw Kamala Harris in there as well. But she went on to say how the policies of the Trump administration have lifted, this is what we were going to see over the coming days, their lives, and then as an aspirational vision toward the next 4 years. And that's exactly what we got. I'm going to play a video right now. It's longer than I normally play. It is the opening salvo, if you will, of the RNC convention. It's narrated by the great actor Jon Voight, which we know is a friend of Donald Trump and a great admirer and supporter of him. It's a little over 3 minutes long. Bear with me on this. I really believe it's important that all Americans see this video, because to me, this is the video of the 2020 campaign and the case to be made to re-elect Donald Trump. Check it out.
By the shining light of our hopes and values and faith. A country where we are judged by our character with dignity and respect for all. The belief that all are created equal, that lives matter irrespective of race, creed, or color. Committed to excelling beyond our dreams, limited only by our imaginations, where rugged individualism and American exceptionalism inspire the best in each of us. And when we see injustice to one, we act to fix it for all. This is our story. We journey together. We stand in the breach to preserve a way of life that, while imperfect, has brought prosperity, honor, and dignity to generations past and will for generations to come. 4 years ago, we faced an historic crossroad. Career politicians promising change every election, but delivering emptiness. We chose a different path. A man who is not a politician. A man who cares. A man who loves America and all Americans. A man who works tirelessly for you, even tonight during this nomination. The results? Jobs were created, embracing the undeniable greatness of diversity. Prosperity, safe communities, protecting and serving, caring for one another. Still, politicians spun their deceptions and obstructed progress, fanning the flames of lawlessness. We all know that it is easy to criticize. It takes a true leader to solve problems. COVID-19, while others criticized without solutions. President Trump's swift action saved lives. And as leading Democrats want to keep businesses closed down, our president is leading the way for a full economic recovery. We are America. Despite unpredictable events, we as Americans work together to overcome challenges, write our own stories. The legends for our posterity. America. Land of promise. Land of opportunity. Land of heroes. Land of greatness. Join us over the next 4 nights as we write the next chapter of our journey and share our vision as the greatest country with the greatest citizens that attain the greatest achievements.
I'm John Martin, and I approve that video, baby. I tell you, it and I'm not faking it, man. It chokes me up to why. I guess I'm just a sucker for Americana, man. I just am. I always have been. There's certain things that tear me up. I kind of get that when I hear the Star Spangled Banner at football games and stuff like that. Of course, not the kneeling and everything else. But let me tell you, you ought to do 2 things right now, or when you get the time. You should make a point to email everybody on your email list that video right there, a link to that video. And while you're at it, email them a link to my show and tell them they can win a prize pack. But you really ought to do that. If anybody questions what you stand for and why you support Donald Trump, they want to know, just play that for them, man. We can't get enough of that. I don't know if I'll be able to play it over and over because it's really long. I want to give Fox News and Tucker Carlson some credit for that because that's where I got it from. So, but man, if that doesn't make you proud to be an American, I don't know what will. That, you want to know why people jump walls, swim rivers? There's a Cuban guy we're going to talk about here in a minute, jump on a piece of logs, like he said, and try to float over here from Cuba. If you want to know why, it's in that video, ladies and gentlemen. That is why people come to America, right there. That's it, man. I mean, there is no other way to put it. But back to this article. I got to, man, I'm serious. It just gets me. Maybe that's why I'm a Trump supporter. It just, those kind of things just really, that's the America that I'm proud of. And I've always been proud of my country, by the way. I've not always been proud of everything we've done. I mean, I grew up in the Vietnam era. I've not been proud of everything we've ever done. I'm not proud of every moment of our history, but I'll put our history, our present even with the trials and turmoils we're going up, with anything that has ever been done before and that is going on right now in this world. There is no place that I would rather be than right here, right now. And that's a pretty good feeling. All right, move on. Miss McDaniel, also the chair of the Republican National Committee, also said that things got rolling Monday by saying that nice guys like Joe Biden care more about countries like Iran and China than with the United States of America. And she's right about, I can't argue with that. How can you argue with that? Joe Biden is more worried about, killing Soleimani in Iran than he is about the killing of our troops. They want more wars over and over and over. And Matt Gaetz made this point last night very well, that not since Ronald Reagan has there been a president that has not gotten us deeper into foreign entanglements, wars. He said that we care more, something that the Democrats care more about the deserts, fighting in the deserts, than they do fighting for Americans. And man, I'm proud of Mr. Gaetz, a fellow Floridian. But it's hard to argue with any of that. Back to the article. A medical professional warned that some Democrats, this is someone they had a doctor up there, proposal for government-run health care would mean we'd be lucky if we could see any doctor. And then they put in parentheses in this article, Washington Post again, Biden doesn't support single-payer health care as some Democrats do. BS. Let me fact check that by telling you that's total nonsense. All the Democrats, and I'm saying this, I said it here, you can ban me if you want to, fact check me if you want to. Every Democrat leader is for single payer. They won't tell you that they're for single payer, but ever since Obamacare was passed, they have known that ultimately we were marching towards single payer. They never would have put that forward first because it couldn't pass. Do you really think that we spent like $1 billion on that website that one of Obama's friends cashed in on, rarely talked about, by the way, and it was a total fiasco? Do you really believe that that was a complete accident? I don't. I don't believe it at all. I think that that when they passed Obamacare, and Justice John Roberts is to thank for that, just saying, that they knew that it would be an S show, so to speak, and that ultimately the only fix, because when we get so deep into government health care that everybody's dependent on it, and it's totally screwed up, then they're going to turn and say, well, maybe we may or may not should have done that, but the only fix now is a total takeover. Anything less than that's not going to work, which means single payer. So don't believe that. It's just the facts, man. Former Fox News host Kimberly Guilfoyle, the partner of Donald Trump Jr., and glad to see she had COVID, right? She seems to have recovered pretty well. Offered a particular, and which I'm glad for. I hope everybody does. A particular bleak picture saying Democrats, a bleak picture. Go back. I'm not going to play it because I don't have time to do it. Go back and look at these speeches. Tell me where Kimberly Guilfoyle was bleak, man. If anything, like one of my friends on Facebook said, Vicky Lynn, how are you, my gal? She said that she's killing it, and she absolutely was. I don't see how you can say you're for strong women and empowering of women and not be at some level a fan of Kimberly, man, because she is the embodiment of the American dream, especially from a woman's perspective. I saw her here at University of Florida about a year ago, and it was amazing. So I'm not surprised at all. But she said that Democrats want to destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty and your freedom. That's not dark. That's fact. Biden couldn't even remember it, right? He said, what did he say back on the campaign trail? Oh, the thing, man, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, man. When I was watching Miss Guilfoyle, and I hope I'm saying her name correct, who I was thinking about? I was thinking about another great American. At least I'm sure she's probably liberal, but she's an amazing entertainer. I was thinking about Alicia Keys, man. That girl is on fire, baby. She is on fire. Think about this. How could you not say she's on fire when she says, the Democrats want to destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty and your freedom. Hey, he could have ended it right there the way I see it, but I'm glad they didn't. Trump Jr., her boyfriend, by the way, that's a pretty power couple there, said Biden also wants to bring in more illegal immigrants to take jobs from American citizens as if that were Biden's goal, according to the Post. Well, it is. It is Biden's goal. They seem to forget that we have video. I'm going to set this up for you. You may or may not remember this, but to me, this was one of the most significant things when they still had like 50 people running for office in one group of 10 that Biden was a part of. They asked the question, well, let's just play it and you see. Notice that Biden is like, yeah, I'm for it. Check it out.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay. Let me...
Like undocumented immigrants, in other words, illegal aliens. I'm not knocking them. As I said, I understand why people do anything to get here. Heck, if I was in Guatemala, man, I would do anything to get to America if I understood the power of that video that we played at the top of the show. Wouldn't you? So I don't begrudge immigrants from trying to get here. They just need to come here legally. That's what we need to do, because a country without borders, as we're seeing now, borders are quite popular now, right? Well, a country that can't defend its borders is doomed to be destroyed. But look at that. This idea that the Post is making it sound like that Biden is not for a bunch of illegals coming here. Think about this. If you assume that he's actually for what he held his hand up for, can you imagine if we provided free medical care to anyone, anywhere in the world that got here legally, illegally, whatever, free? You couldn't build a big enough wall to keep people from knocking it down, climbing over, tunneling under, swimming around it, or whatever. It would be impossible. The flood to get to America would be cataclysmic. So that this idea that Joe Biden wants to flood America with illegal immigrants is a fact. Don't take my word for it, as I keep telling you. Just listen to these progressives. He raised his hand. Are you telling me he didn't understand the question? Well, then if he don't understand that question, then how can he be president? And if he's for that, how can he be president? I mean, you answer that for me, man. But anyway, it just gets me riled up that they act like they're going to fact check and CNN kept doing that last night, and MSNBC, they'd interrupt a speech and fact check. I mean, come on. You could fact check any political speech. Political speeches, by their very nature, I hate to tell you this, are meant to get certain feelings and appeal to certain people. They're not fact-based, lessons in your history course or whatever, which you don't get much facts in that anymore anyway. But Donald Trump Jr. said, he added that Democrats are attacking the very principles on which our nation was founded: freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and rule of law. Is there any doubt about that? Any doubt whatsoever that he's telling you the truth? I mean, if you have a Facebook page, and I give due deference to algorithm, you get fact checked if you're on the right all the time. Every single time. It doesn't matter what I got put in Facebook jail, and hallelujah that Mr. Algorithm let me out, for simply posting a meme that Facebook put on my feed to start with. I didn't even search for it. That was a joke. It simply said that coronavirus would be cured after the vote on November 3rd, that would be cured. That's one way to cure coronavirus. And they put me in Facebook jail because they said that it was misleading election content or something to that effect. It was not intended to mislead. It was not intended to be factual. It was a joke. But hey, the left has no sense of humor. Now, one of the highlights of last night, at least for me, maybe because I get so into Americana, and I'm a Floridian, and we have a tremendous Hispanic population here in Florida, a long history in South Florida, which I'm connected to in several ways. Got friends and some family down there, immigrants from Cuba. I mean, it's been a big part of Florida history since before it was Florida, really. But this guy named Maximo Alvarez, you may have seen him before. He first kind of came to prominence nationally when he was in a roundtable discussion, and he got kind of emotional in the White House about some issues, and he was spot on last night, man. And I don't see, and even the pundits on MSNBC and CNN had a hard time dealing with him because he's just so genuine. But Cuban-American immigrant Maximo Alvarez, and I can't play all these speeches or clips of him. It's just too much, not enough time. But you really need to check out his speech. There's a few speeches that I would suggest you check out. Tim Scott, Don Jr., Kimberly Alvarez. I'll leave somebody out. But certainly Maximo is one, and I'm going to talk about Herschel Walker in just a minute, which to me was the best of the best for personal reasons that I'll get into in a minute. But Cuban immigrant Maximo Alvarez, in an impassioned speech, suggested Democrats and possibly even Biden are secretly putting the country on a path to communism. It's no secret. Bernie Sanders basically admitted he's a communist, right? I mean, they've elected people like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, and they're about to elect some more people, most likely. I mean, it is a communist. Ocasio-Cortez, what would you call her? What would you call Bernie Sanders? And that meme is absolutely right. You can vote your way into socialism, which always leads pretty much to communism, but you're going to have to shoot your way out. And Alvarez knows this. Anyone who is in his position coming from Cuba, and he said, I fled tyranny twice, my family did. Once from Spain to Cuba, and then from Cuba to Florida and the United States. But listen to this right here. Alvarez said, I'm speaking to you today because I have seen people like this before. He's talking about the people that were literally speaking at the Democratic Party. at the Democratic convention. He said, adding that things he heard from some Democrats don't sound radical to my ears, even though they obviously are. But there's a reason why he said that. He said they don't sound radical, they sound familiar. Do you understand what he's saying? He's heard this before. He said Fidel Castro was asked if he was a communist. He said he was a Roman Catholic. So even Fidel Castro knew better than to admit that he was a communist. I'm telling you, it was a powerful speech. One of the things he said that really resonated with me, especially as an American citizen and a citizen of Florida, and I said with all our great Cuban history here, he said when he was young, one of the last things his dad said to him was, don't ever leave here, talking about the United States of America and Florida in particular. Don't ever leave here because there's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to go. Does that not explain the greatness of America? Does that not explain why people will do anything to get here? Anything to get here. Because when it comes to freedom, when it comes to life, liberty, and the pursuit, not guaranteed, but the pursuit of happiness, there is nowhere else to go. That is why people like me are so passionate about America. Because if this experiment, if this flicker of light goes out, it's done. It's over. That's why I'm battling ignorance and apathy daily. That's why I tell you, not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support fighters. That's why I ask you to like and share our show and spread it far and wide. You may not be as passionate about me, or maybe you are, but you don't, for whatever reason, articulate it, or maybe you do, and I applaud you. I've been blessed to have this platform. In order to keep it, I need your help. In order to spread it far and wide as possible, I need you to not only share it, but I need you to go to the description of our show and click on our sponsorship link, BDU, Big Daddy Unlimited. Check it out, man. 99-cent free trial for the first month. That's basically free. Then it's $10 a month after. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I get a portion of that money. There's no question about it. But I'm only going to use it to expand what we're doing here and expand our reach. You may not know this, but in all the years basically that I've been doing this show or variations of it, I've been doing it for nothing. It costs me money. But I've gone about as far as I can with it, and I need your help. And you can help yourself. You'll save more money on your first purchase, whether it's a gun or ammunition delivered directly to you, or stuff like our giveaway here, our prize pack. In that same description of our show, there's a John Martin giveaway. No obligation. Click on that, and one lucky listener to get it will get it. But I'm passionate about America. I don't talk that much about it. But I want to say again, if you want to support a fighter like me and Billy Bob, he's my psychic sidekick here, a little humor in the show. He has a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass, and mine is at John Martin Talks. And I'm trying to get a bit more active on all types of platforms. But if you want to help us, and if you think our message is one more people need to hear, then check out our sponsorship link, Big Daddy Unlimited, in the description of our show. But man, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, I get emotional about that. These aren't crocodile tears, maybe gator tears. But I don't know how else to say it. Mr. Alvarez said it about as well as you could say it. When it comes to freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, there's nowhere else to go. It just is a fact. A focus, we're moving on down the line. Let me check my time. I'm doing good. A focus on combating, as you can tell, I'm pretty fired up today. I hope you are. A focus combating allegations of racism. So, Trump has been accused of being a racist, and there were multiple speakers, and even Nikki Haley was talking about that America's not a racist country. And I heard a pundit on the way in say, well, that was from a white woman. Nikki Haley has not mixed race. She has 2 Indian parents from India. She's not a white woman. I don't say that but to say, coming from a white woman, she's a person of color. She should be celebrated. She's the governor, for God's sakes, that got the Confederate flag, whether you like it, hate it, or whatever. It's just a fact, removed from the Capitol in South Carolina when she was a governor. And this is coming from a white woman. Oh my God, man. It just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. But it says here, one of the focal points of last night's topics, and probably be throughout the whole thing, one of the focal points both in the choice of speakers and what some of them said was the perception that Trump is a racist and that there is racism problem in the GOP and the country. There is no racism problem in the GOP. Now, am I saying there aren't members of the GOP that are racist? Of course I can't say that. Just like there aren't, they're human beings. You cannot not legislate what's in a person's heart. Let me just say that again. You cannot legislate. You cannot pass something from the outhouse to the White House that is going to change what's in a person's heart. It's not possible, at least not yet. So we've done away with systematic racism. I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist at all. It does, but it's going to take time and changing hearts and minds, and legislation doesn't do that. But there is no racism problem in the GOP. And this perception that Trump is a racist is just that. It's a perception drilled into people, unfortunately, by the mainstream media, the progressive leftists, and some never Trumpers. It is. The bluntest comments on this, and I love this part because I love this guy, the bluntest comments on the former front came from former National Football League and Heisman Trophy and Georgia extraordinaire running back, those are my words, Herschel Walker, who spoke of his decades-long close relationship with Trump. Herschel Walker's comments, man, I just can't play all these videos. I'll probably post it on my Facebook site, but Herschel Walker's comments, and that's not Herschel Walker, by the way, whoever, just saying. Herschel Walker's comments should be a commercial, man. And I like how they say, Walker said, and they put who is black as if, what we had to be told that he's black. Not according to Joe Biden, he's not black because he's supporting Donald Trump. So any of the black folks up there, regardless of their skin tone, don't believe your lying eyes. They ain't black. Believe Joe Biden, right? But this is what Herschel said, among other things. He said, it hurt my soul to hear the terrible names that people call Donald. That's Herschel. The worst one is racist, he said. He said, I take it personally, and boy, can I relate to this statement right here. And I bet regardless of skin color, but especially if you're black, you can relate to this, because he said, I take it as a personal insult that people would think I've had a 37-year-old friendship with a racist. I feel that same way because I support Donald Trump, and people call him a racist, inferring that, like Meathead said, the from All in the Family, Mr. Reiner, he said a while back that we'll know on election day just how many racists they are, implying that if you voted for Donald Trump or if you vote for him again, you're a racist, which is total nonsense, and I'm not taking it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not. One thing Donald Trump, and I always was like this, but he's empowered all of us. We don't have to take that crap anymore. We don't have to cower in a corner and be labeled. Gone are the days when a Republican or someone who wants to speak their mind, thanks to Donald Trump, has to. You can be cowered down. I refuse to be. I'm telling you right now. So this idea that if I support Donald Trump, I'm a racist, I'm just not accepting that, period. But he said, people think I've had talking about Herschel Walker, 37-year friendship with a racist. That is what they are saying, by the way. People who think that, talking back to Herschel Walker, she said, people who think that don't know what they're talking about. Growing up in the Deep South, now who knows more about racism than a black man growing up in the Deep South? He said, growing up in the Deep South, I've seen racism up close. I know what it is, and it isn't Donald Trump. Amen, Herschel. I tell you, I've always, and this is, hard sometimes to say from a diehard Gator if you know college football, I've always been a huge admirer of Herschel Walker, even when he was kicking our butts on a regular basis. I actually, and if you know me personally, you know how big this is, I actually did not go to the bowl that the Gators played in the year that Penn State narrowly beat Herschel Walker for the national title. I went to that game in New Orleans because I knew it might be last time I'd get to see Herschel play in college football, and I wanted to see him play at least one more time. Herschel Walker, man, one of the things he said last night that resonated with me as a sports fan, he talked about Donald Trump. People may not like him because when he's going for his goals, he may run over you. And he said, when I was going for the goal and I ran over people, they didn't like me much either. Amen, Herschel Walker. Thank you, man. What a great American he is. But Walker was joined by other black Trump supporters, including White House staffer J. Ron Smith, Georgia State Representative Vernon Jones, who did an excellent job, and Maryland congressional candidate Kim Kasich, and she is the one that is trying to seek Elijah Cummings' vacated seat due to his death in Baltimore. If you have not seen it, I'm just telling the people in Baltimore, really around the country, you need to support her. What a breath of fresh air she is and would be if the people in Baltimore truly get woke. If you want someone who, at least from what I can see, that will actually take your fight to Congress for the ills that plague Baltimore, and they are many, you need to check this lady out, Kim Kasich, Klasik. Check her out. Support her if you can. And then, of course, Tim Scott, we talked about that. All of them were very impressive. Jones, talking about Mr. Vernon Jones, a Democrat from Georgia, he said, Jones provocatively made the case that it was Democrats who are harming African Americans. The Democratic Party does not want black people to have their mental plantation. We've been forced to be there for decades and generations. And so I would ask this, how have black lives, if they really matter, and they do, how have they improved under Democratic reign? Because wherever there's majority black populations, Democrats have been ruling. It's just a fact. It's not racism. It's just a fact, man. So I would ask you, how has your life improved under Democrats? Because a lot of times when I ask this question of black Americans, they have been so indoctrinated with lies that they actually use examples that the Democrats had zippo to do with, that the Democrats actually fought against, like the Jim Crow laws. They were removed by Republicans, like the right for African Americans to vote. That was not given to you or bestowed upon you by Democrats. They fought it tooth and nail. It was Republicans. Republicans are the ones that freed the slaves, for God's sakes. The NRA was founded in a large part to back after the Civil War to help black Americans secure their Second Amendment rights, which, by the way, if you want to secure today, support me by supporting my sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. Check out the link in our show description. But it's just unbelievable. We're about out of time. I want to get down to this last bit here. But Tim Scott, Tim Scott said something really amazing. You need to look at his speech. They hated Nikki Haley's speech, the pundits on the left. They hated Tim Scott's speech, although they were kind of, think about Tim Scott, man. One of the things he said, he talked about his granddaddy and the life he lived in America versus what he's done. He literally said that we went from cotton to Congress in one generation. And this in South Carolina. If America was such a racist country, South Carolina is the heartbeat of the Confederacy. That's where the shots were fired, so to speak, right? And Scott has become a senator in South Carolina on the Republican ticket and a rising star within the party, and gave a great speech from cotton to Congress. And you want to tell me that we haven't made progress in this country? Is racism over? No, it's not. But we are, what Scott said, I am so grateful that, we're not where we were, but where we are now, basically. It reminded me of something my dad used to say. A great leader doesn't take you where you want to be, but where you need to be. And that's what Tim Scott was doing. All right, I just want to, we're pretty much out of time. I want to do this part right here because I think it's pretty important, man. And they did a part on there about the coronavirus and everything. Donald Trump was a leader. They played videos of Nancy Pelosi and all them saying nothing to worry about here. And then they said, Donald Trump was saying the same things. No, he wasn't. Donald Trump, now he may have should have reacted even bigger, but he was the first world leader to show that borders actually matter and ban flights from China. He probably should have banned them from Europe as well. But Cuomo, anyway, I don't want to get on with it. I want to make sure I make this point. One of the highlights for me of the thing was the McCloskeys. Now, they were called everything but a child of God after their comments. Check it out. I got a picture of the McCloskeys giving their little speech last night. It wasn't so little, from their home. Now, I can tell you that they would never have been where they were last night. I don't know if I'm jumping around a bit, so it's kind of hard for Billy Bob to keep up. but the McCloskeys were pictured in their, basically, there they are in their living room. They gave a great speech. They would never have been able to give that speech from their home if they hadn't done this. And we'll show the next picture. I know you've already seen this. The McCloskeys in front of their home using their Second Amendment God-given rights to defend their home. If they hadn't done that, they never would have been sitting there for that. But it was amazing what they did. And, it just does. There you go. If they hadn't had the right to do that, you would not have said, they may have ended up in the morgue for all we know. But a Biden aide tweeted out last night after the thing, one of Biden's main aides basically tweeted out, I can't believe we're going to have to watch 3 more days of this. And they used the S word. Yeah, you got to watch it, or you get to watch it if you're privileged to watch it. Let me just tell you this. We'll conclude. Let me check my time. I think I got enough time for this. You remember I showed you that 3-minute video at the top? If you're a Biden supporter, or you're thinking, if you're undecided, or you want to help a Biden supporter become a Trump supporter, play them that video and say, okay, your choice is vote for this guy, or play them this video right here.
You know, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
So play those 2 videos in a continuous loop to anybody either voting for Biden or thinking about voting for Biden or undecided, and let them see, because that is the truth. Do you want the man that described black children as roaches in the White House, or do you want the guy that Herschel Walker described in Donald J. Trump? I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it, share it with others. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Remember our giveaway and our sponsors. Check out in the description of our show the 2 links there. Check them both out. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.